you any advice for those love scenes?
I mean, he was more just kind of supportive and like, is there anything I can do to make you more comfortable? Do you want anything? Let me know if you need any. Just how animated and funny he is.
In the legendary, gripping thriller, The Wolf of Wall Street, Margot Robbie and Leonardo DiCaprio looked fantastic and had magnificent performances. Without a doubt, it was a well-made film. In fact, several performers even consider it a top 5. But when Leonardo's performance was the center of attention and reviews, and Robbie was left out, it put a strain on the actor-to-actor connection. If you want to know why Robbie used to despise Leonardo DiCaprio so much, you need know what actually transpired on set and in the background. It's time to cut the crap. Although Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie appeared to have fantastic chemistry on screen in The Wolf of Wall Street, things were very different when they were filming. Since that time, Margot has held a grudge toward Leo, which has grown into more than simply a hatred. No, this isn't hearsay. Industry insiders have known about it for a long time. This is the very reason why the tension was palpable. Margot entered a world where Leo was supremely dominant from the very beginning. In addition to being the principal actor, he commanded the respect of the whole team and had considerable creative influence. Around him, everyone was cautious. Margot, however, was only seen as a cute face attempting to keep up with the Hollywood elite. To enter the chamber, she had to use her claws. When Margot famously slapped Leo at her audition, it was not part of a screenplay or a plan. Rather, she needed to shock him and stand out from the other yes-men in the room. This is how she landed her job. It was effective. However, that was the defining moment. After that, their relationship was absolutely explosive, yet Leo still appreciated the move. Leo's approach to work is quite forceful. He is accustomed to having others agree with him and wants to be in charge. On the flip side, Margot is sensitive about feelings of being ignored or treated poorly. She had several opportunities to speak her mind or push back during filming, and Leo was not pleased. Although he refrained from being overtly impolite, he repeatedly and quietly ignored her. Instead of treating her with respect, he would interrupt her in talks, dominate situations that were supposed to be balanced, and pretend to be her mentor. On the other hand, there was little improvement. Staying professional, working hard, and maintaining a low profile have always been Margot's guiding principles. Models, late hours, and an air of Hollywood nobility characterized Leo's typical retinue. Margot had no admiration for his manner of bearing, and she certainly wasn't into the boys' club feel that accompanied him around. He was the life of the party, and she was tired of everyone's expectations that she should revolve publicly and privately around him. And the worst thing? How people felt about the movie. His performance was praised as masterful by those who saw Leo. Despite her might, Margot was reduced to nothing more than the sultry blonde who became nude. It made her quite angry. All everybody wanted to speak about was her good looks, even though she had given her all to the job and provided depth to a woman who could have been written off as pretty. Aside from Leo, nobody helped. He praised Jonah Hill, the producers, and the director, but he almost never thanked Margot at the same time. There was a deep-seated resentment about being ignored by someone with all the authority and focus. Margot has shown no sign of reconnection since then. She's great at her job, poses nicely for photos, and knows how to play the Hollywood game. She may not owe Leo anything, but she has made that plain in her own way through her casting choices, the management of her production business, and the reluctance to bring him up in interviews. The way she was handled on stage is something she will never forget. She is proud of the fact that she has achieved success independently of him. It is not coincidental that Margot Robbie has avoided collaborating with Leonardo DiCaprio in the past, and that the two actors never appear to meet. even though they are in the same social circles. Margot was completely and professionally done with Leo at the moment. She avoided him at all costs. Time may have healed the animosity, though. How were they in one of the most thrilling, iconic movies ever? The Wolf of Wall Street is, without a doubt, a crazy, tumultuous, and sometimes ridiculous journey. Beyond the drug use, excessive consumption, and continual partying, the film's standout is the superb performance of its leads, particularly Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie. Even when things went horribly wrong, you couldn't tear your eyes away from the screen because of the infectious enthusiasm and razor-sharp emotional intelligence displayed by these two. You can imagine Robbie's frustration when he hears that Leonardo DiCaprio is the only one who comes to mind when people think about the picture. One of those performances where Leo gives it his all is his depiction of Jordan Belfort. Not only does he personify the concept of reckless ambition, but he also plays the role of a stockbroker who becomes consumed by greed and pleasure. His first major speech motivating his co-workers gives the impression that he truly believes every crazy thing he says. Even though you know he's a morally corrupt mess, you can't help but be captivated by the fire in his eyes, the crazy energy in his voice, and the swagger in his walk. He adds a manic charm to Jordan that makes you want to follow him. Genius is on display when Leonardo DiCaprio unleashes his physical humor, like in the now infamous Quaaludes sequence, in which he is unable to move a muscle. With an equal measure of ridiculousness and desperation, he immerses himself entirely in it. The aim is that you chuckle while simultaneously feeling frightened. Next, we have Margot, who was just remarkable as Jordan's wife Naomi LaPaglia. Despite the role's potential to be reduced to the hot blonde, Robbie adds depth. She portrays Naomi with genuine intelligence, but she does start out charming and self-assured. She knows exactly where Jordan is vulnerable and takes use of her good looks when necessary. But she also does her best to keep things together for him when his life takes a turn for the worst. She exudes an irresistible charm and maintains a strong, consistent Brooklyn accent. Additionally, Robbie reveals a different side when the marriage starts to fall apart, particularly in the dramatic nursery scene when Naomi finally loses it. She is profoundly human, enraged, imprisoned, and damaged. Her exhaustion and the amount she has given up are palpable. They have such a natural chemistry that their performances never feel one-dimensional. The two leads, Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie, are masters at juggling comedic, dramatic, seductive, and furious roles. Not only do they have explosive chemistry romantically and sexually, but they also have explosive chemistry because of the way they contrast, confront, and mirror one another's shortcomings. Both performers give it their all as Jordan and Naomi navigate a turbulent, intense, and sad relationship. It's also noteworthy that both performers give their all to the universe that Scorsese created. Even in the midst of all the chaos, their performances remain true to their characters. Subtlety is scarce in this picture. Thank you, Leonardo DiCaprio, for convincing us that Michael Jordan is more than just a cartoon villain. Robbie elevates Naomi's status from that of a trophy wife to that of an individual fighting for survival in a patriarchal society. They give depth and emotion to a narrative that may otherwise be about superficial anarchy. Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie are the ideal leads in this excess-themed masterclass. Despite their obvious flaws, they manage to make even the most unlikable characters utterly captivating. They bring the character to life with their daring, courageous acting. It was inevitable that the picture would become a cultural touchstone with such illustrious talent at its core. The mark should have had an effect on Robbie by now as well. But we can't ignore Leonardo's obvious talent. If he's so talented, it's not his fault. It's unfair that other celebrities and regular people dislike Leonardo DiCaprio since he's only acting. And when he does, he excels. When you think of legendary Hollywood performers, Leonardo DiCaprio almost always comes to mind. In a business that is always producing new superstars, he has accomplished the remarkable achievement of remaining current, respected, and incredibly gifted for more than 3 decades. The man most people name Leo didn't become famous by chance. Part by part, performance by performance, he deserved it. His career has been nothing short of meteoric, starting with his humble beginnings on Growing Pains and culminating in his meteoric rise to cinematic stardom. His remarkable talent belies his simple way out. He could have coasted on romantic leads, played it safe, and capitalized on his heartthrob reputation after Titanic gave him a household name. Nevertheless, he advocated for himself in the acting world. To showcase his versatility and depth, he sought up demanding, frequently sinister parts. The acting technique of Leonardo DiCaprio is dramatic and engrossing. He clearly immerses himself in his roles, rather than merely playing them. He portrayed a young man with a developmental handicap in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Take a look at his performance. People were astounded by the depth of emotion and authenticity he gave to the character, considering he was just a teenager. That was the turning point in his career as an actor, and he received his first Oscar nomination for it. In subsequent films, such as The Aviator, Blood Diamond, Shutter Island, Django Unchained, and The Wolf of Wall Street, he portrays substantially different characters while consistently leaving an indelible impression. He physically and emotionally immerses himself in the tale. Who else would brave sub-zero temperatures to consume raw liver and sleep inside a genuine animal carcass for the sake of creating a realistic film like The Revenant? He clearly takes his work very seriously because of his level of devotion. We can discuss the Academy Award for The Revenant while we're talking about it. The fact that Leonardo DiCaprio had never won an Oscar, while providing one outstanding performance after another, became a running joke for a long time. Even though it became the subject of fan campaigns and memes, he never appeared resentful or fixated on it. All he did was keep plugging away, picking scripts with significance, and give it his all. After years of supporting him, his 2016 victory seemed like a victory for all his followers, not just him. His gracious and modest acceptance of the situation, together with his decision to redirect his remarks towards climate change rather than himself, revealed a great deal about his character. Leonardo DiCaprio is intriguing when you step away from the Hollywood limelight. Unlike most famous people, he isn't always looking for new ways to be famous. He has a reputation for being reserved and sometimes evasive. He is not someone who appears on reality TV or gives interviews frequently. When it comes to his private life, he stays away from social media. Still, he manages to pique everyone's interest. Even while his romantic relationships are often the subject of tabloid headlines due to his penchant for dating younger models, the guy behind the headlines is actually more kind and down-to-earth. His background in Los Angeles was anything from glamorous, since he was reared by a single mother. His parents encouraged his early passion for performing, despite their modest means. You may still observe remnants of his resilient and humble upbringing in his current demeanor. The fact that Leonardo DiCaprio takes his responsibility as a global citizen so seriously is something to be admired. Is his philanthropic work known to you? After all they've accomplished for the benefit of mankind, who could possibly despise them? Being a movie star isn't all he wants. He also appears to have a real interest in helping others. It is commonly known that he is quite passionate about environmental issues. He established the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation in 1998, long before discussing climate change became fashionable. Millions of dollars have been raised and distributed by his foundation to support causes such as preserving forests, bolstering renewable energy, and safeguarding endangered animals in more than 50 nations. Using his fame to draw attention to important environmental concerns that most people overlook, he has given speeches at the United Nations on many occasions and directed impactful films such as Before the Flood, The 11th Hour, and Ice on Fire. The fact that Leo really does good deeds with his charity is one of its most remarkable aspects. He takes an active role rather than passively doling out funds. In his meetings, he encounters scientists, activists, indigenous elders, and politicians from around the globe. Being more environmentally mindful even led him to alter his lifestyle. He invests in environmentally friendly technology, uses electric automobiles, and tries to stay away from private planes whenever he can. Unlike other celebrities, Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't appear to be using his endorsement deals as a publicity stunt. Never one to play the hero, he keeps his charitable contributions under wraps. Just for the sake of the Earth, future generations, and all the other forms of life here, he appears to truly believe in doing the right thing. Having said that, he has his detractors. The age difference in his relationships is a point of criticism, and some wonder if he might have done more with his vast fortune. Those are reasonable points to make. Everyone has their flaws, and Leonardo DiCaprio is no exception. He may be best known as an actor, but there's more to him than meets the eye. Consider his body of work, the values he represents, and the charitable contributions he has made. He's making an effort to use his celebrity and wealth for causes that reach beyond the realm of red carpets and box office receipts. Leonardo is remarkable not just as an actor, but also for the consistency and growth he has shown throughout his career. He has remained authentic throughout his rise from teen idol to Oscar-winning actor to international champion. Although he doesn't put on an act, he is very self-conscious about the influence he has on others via his work. Immortal performances in films. The Dark Knight, 2010. Dom Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio, is a master thief in Christopher Nolan's sci-fi blockbuster Inception. Rather than taking tangible goods, he breaks into people's dreams to steal their innermost secrets. Cobb's knowledge and experience make him an asset in the murky realm of corporate espionage. But he is also consumed by his own ghosts and demons, which brings an emotional depth to the mind-bending story. Inception, the almost difficult process of planting an idea into someone's brain so quietly that it takes root and flourishes as if it were their own concept, presents Cobb with a chance for atonement. And the film's fundamental struggle comes at this point. In order to accomplish this, Cobb gathers a group of experts and sets out on a perilous adventure through a labyrinth of increasingly bizarre dream levels. As the lines between fact and delusion blur and the stakes continue to rise, Nolan's expert direction keeps audiences on the edge of their seats. Hans Zimmer's eerie and unforgettable soundtrack heightens the suspense and emotional resonance, while the visually stunning combat sequences, folding cityscapes, and dreamscapes disprove the rules of physics. The 2010 film Shutter Island. Martin Scorsese's riveting psychological thriller Shutter Island follows U.S. Leonardo DiCaprio plays the role of Marshall Teddy Daniels. To find out what happened to a patient who went missing on Shutter Island, Teddy travels to an isolated institution. Unsettling encounters and enigmatic clues abound on the island. which provides a dark and spooky tone for the plot. Viewers are captivated by the growing mystery as Teddy continues to investigate, and the film expertly creates an atmosphere of tension and discomfort. The film follows Teddy as his mental health deteriorates. As he faces his own horrific history and the unsettling secrets kept within the asylum, the boundary between reality and delusion becomes more porous. DiCaprio portrays a guy whose hold on reality is slipping away, and his performance is complex and dramatic, conveying his mental struggle and increasing desperation. His performance grounds the film's ominous ideas in a riveting human narrative while making the psychological suspense feel genuine and unfiltered. The film ends with a shocking turn of events that reinterprets all the viewer has witnessed so far, creating a feeling of emotional complexity and ambiguity that stays with them. The Return of the Covenant, 2015. The Revenant, helmed by Alejandro G. Iñárritu, transports audiences to the brutal American frontier of the early 19th century in an engrossing drama-adventure picture. The protagonist, Hugh Glass, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is an experienced frontiersman who, on an expedition, gets attacked by a bear, leaving him with serious injuries and his comrades assuming he is dead. The story follows Glass as he seeks revenge on those who left him and fights mercilessly for his life, in the face of the harsh natural environment. The dedication to visual narrative and immersive reality in The Revenant is what makes it stand out. The collaboration between director Alejandro González Iñárritu and cinematographer Emmanuel Lubezki produced an immersive experience that is nearly tactile, allowing the audience to practically sense the icy wilderness and the rugged landscape. The picture was mostly shot in natural light, typically around dawn or twilight, which gives it an evocative character that makes the threat feel more real. Long, uninterrupted shots in the cinematography immerse the viewer in Glass's environment, making his danger and resolve seem personal and urgent. The graphic portrayal of the bear assault is a prime example of this meticulous attention to detail. It is a horrifying and realistic scene that ranks among the most intense in recent film history. An integral part of the film's popularity is Leonardo DiCaprio's performance as Hugh Glass. He portrays a man whose strength and will are tested by the elements, treachery, and grief in an emotionally and physically taxing performance. Leonardo DiCaprio won his first Oscar for Best Actor for his dedicated performance in the part, which required him to endure brutal cold and difficult filming in faraway places. In addition to Leonardo DiCaprio's stellar performance, the film delves into themes of perseverance, vengeance, and the resilience of the human spirit when confronted with apparently impossible obstacles. The Revenant is more than meets the eye. It delves deeply into themes of perseverance, atonement, and the very intimate, and at times brutal, bond that exists between humans and the natural world. On the other hand, Margot Robbie is a superb actress too. Whether she was the main character or an ensemble player, she always managed to eat the scenery and leave no crumbs. This is much more than simply an accomplished actor. She is genuinely changing the face of contemporary film in her own special manner. She has that charisma that makes her stand out. But her unwavering commitment to her work is what truly impresses. Her incredible rise from her humble beginnings on Australian soap operas like Neighbours to her current status as one of Hollywood's most coveted actors is really motivational. Extra coolness factor. She's never been content to be the pretty face. Instead, she's always challenging herself to do roles that make people perceive her in a different way. The Wolf of Wall Street, in which she made her breakthrough as Naomi LaPaglia, continues to generate buzz, and rightfully so. Her debut in Hollywood was that, and she nailed it. She added nuance, intensity, and wit to the role, not only to portray the seductive wife. She clearly had no intention of being stereotyped. What followed that job was more evidence of her dedication to her work. Instead of being cautious, she threw herself into challenging roles, many of which were completely out of her comfort zone. Her performances feel authentic, since she obviously has no problem getting dirty or emotionally exploring unpleasant places. As an example, consider Tanya and Myself. A huge turning point came with that film. Not only did Margot star in it, she also produced it. In it, she played the role of Tanya Harding, a lady who had been ignored and made fun of by the press for a long time. She gave Tanya a complex and honest performance. All at once, you might sense the anguish, annoyance, and perplexity. She also lent into the story's darker aspects, rather than avoiding them. Its potency lay in that very fact. Instead of thinking, "Wow, Margot Robbie looked amazing in that movie," you probably thought, "Damn, she's good." Following that, we have Harley Quinn. Margot transformed a one-dimensional comic book character into a cherished and famous part in the DC world. Harley felt grounded in reality, while living in a world filled with supervillains and explosives, thanks to her insanity-inducing blend of vulnerability, sadness, comedy, and mayhem. She not only co-produced Birds of Prey, but also gave Harley more screen time and depth in it. Her strength, vulnerability, pain, and individuality were all on display. In the nicest manner imaginable, it was outrageous, bright, and bizarre. The fact that Margot continually changing things up is even more remarkable. She is concise and direct. She can switch gears in an instant, going from stylish, high-energy performances to bombshell-style somber, emotionally silent roles. She was equally formidable in Bombshell as Nicole Kidman and Charlize Theron. Plus, her portrayal of her character was so nuanced and tragic that it stayed with me long after the credits had rolled. She was so confused, scared, and ashamed that it was palpable. It had an understated strength that was devastating. Next, we have Barbie, who demonstrated, quite honestly, that she had the courage and vision to utterly revolutionize the game. Margot recognized something more than the concept of doing a live-action Barbie film, which most people would have laughed off. With comedy and emotion, she seized an opportunity to delve into themes of purpose, femininity, and identity. She wasn't just an actor in it, she was also instrumental in getting the picture done. She has been a staunch advocate for authentic storytelling and fresh perspectives through her production firm, Lucky Chap Entertainment. Not only does she star in critically acclaimed films, she also produces them. Her contributions as a producer are as noteworthy as those of an actress. She has been the driving force behind films and television productions with Lucky Chap that give a platform to marginalized people and address controversial, even taboo issues. Important cultural work came out of projects like Promising Young Woman. It's unusual for a famous performer to utilize their platform to support underdog tales, but Margot is doing just that. She's making waves in Hollywood, not only appearing in it. Her attitude is another thing that is extremely refreshing about her. It would appear that she is unconcerned about the celebrity machine. She exudes charm, modesty, and undeniable enthusiasm in interviews. She discusses the thrill of working with artists she respects, the weight of duty that comes with presenting other people's tales, and the difficulty of stepping into the limelight. She seems to have retained her identity despite her achievements. You can't help but be optimistic about the state of cinema when you see Margot Robbie in a role. In everything she does, her passion for narrative comes through, and she isn't afraid to take chances. She adds an indescribable amount of love and dedication to every role she plays, whether it's a nuanced portrayal of a real person, a stylish interpretation of a comic book legend, or the production of groundbreaking films. And, to be completely candid, it seems as though she has just begun. Bigger and bolder parts will keep coming her way, and she'll continue to demonstrate time and time again why she's the finest. No one needs to tell her she's perfect, because she already is. Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie have a long-lasting and ever-changing working connection. Their relationship started with The Wolf of Wall Street, as previously stated. Many assumed they were romantically involved off-screen because of the obvious connection they had on screen. Still, the two performers have made it clear time and time again that their connection is completely platonic and professional. While Leonardo DiCaprio has been in several relationships, none of them including Robbie, Robbie has been married to British filmmaker Tom Ackerley since 2016. In recent interviews, Leonardo DiCaprio and Robbie both spoke highly of one another's performances. Robbie has compared working with Leonardo DiCaprio to taking an acting class, describing the educational opportunity she receives by seeing him perform. On the flip side, Leonardo DiCaprio has complimented Robbie on her acting chops and commitment to her many roles. In 2019, they worked together again on Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, further cementing their professional relationship. They maintained their on-set friendship throughout the years, and it shone through in the interviews and promotional events where they swapped jokes and encouragement. These days, Robbie and DiCaprio keep up a cordial and productive working relationship. Their closeness and mutual regard have been regularly on display in their off-screen interactions, despite the rumors that have circulated about their on-screen roles. Here we are at the final scene of the video. All eyes are on you now. Click the subscribe button to see more videos.